Everyone loves a botch in wrestling, right? Well, unless you're the person doing the botching, in which case probably not. Mistakes happen, and sometimes they're enough to ruin what was otherwise a perfect match. Other times, even with a massive boo-boo right in the middle, certain contests can overcome these errors and be fantastic in the face of a glaring blunder. I'm Jack the Jobber from... Oh, hold on a second, that was wrong. Can we do that again? I'm Adam Pachiti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 giant botches in excellent WWE matches. Join us! Number 10, Rob Van Dam vs Jeff Hardy at SummerSlam 2001. SummerSlam 2001 was the first of WWF's Big Four pay-per-views to take place after the invasion of the Alliance. Up and down the card, there were examples of WWF wrestlers taking on those that had made their names in WCW and ECW, including Edge vs Lance Storm, The Rock vs Booker T, and Kurt Angle vs Stone Cold Steve Austin. Wait, those are both WWF guys. This whole invasion storyline's a fraud, I tell ya. Even though the storyline had more holes in it than a pair of my underpants, there was some good wrestling on the night, as was the case when hardcore champion Jeff Hardy defended his belt in a ladder match against Rob Van Dam. As you would expect from an encounter featuring two daredevils, the match was full of crazy spills and thrills, but one of them didn't go quite to plan. As Hardy was dangling from the hook holding the belt up, RVD attempted to kick him out of the air, but totally whiffed it. Van Dam went crashing backwards off the top rope, about 20 feet short of hitting his target, and Jeff was forced to drop down on his own moments later. Whoops. Number 9, Trish Stratus vs Mickie James at WrestleMania 22. Remember when WWE didn't book Trish Stratus and Lita to have a face-off during the first ever Women's Royal Rumble, even though they were both in the match? That was dumb, wasn't it? Instead, Trish had a moment with Mickie James, which referenced their feud from the mid-2000s that culminated with this battle at WrestleMania 22. James had worked her way up from lesbian stalker to women's title contender and was facing off against the object of her affections for the coveted prize. The two had excellent chemistry together, resulting in one of the best women's matches in Mania history. The finish was supposed to be the Mixter hitting Trish with her own Stratusfaction finisher, but the laws of physics had other ideas. James failed to get up on the ropes properly to hit the move as both wrestlers crumpled to the floor in an embarrassing heap before the challenger covered the mistake by winning with a mitt kick. Don't worry, Mickey, they'll edit this out of future broadcasts, right along with you making this lovely gesture. Number 8, Roman Reigns vs Kevin Owens at Royal Rumble 2021. At the time of recording, Roman Reigns is well over 1,000 days into his Universal Championship reign, but in reality, this should have ended just 5 months in. After retaining the gold over Kevin Owens at TLC, Reigns once again put his belt on the line against the prizefighter at the 2021 Royal Rumble, only this time in a last man standing match. We all know the rules of these matches. If a wrestler can't get to their feet before a 10 count, they lose. Simple, right? Unfortunately, one person who forgot this was the tribal chief himself. Owens had handcuffed Reigns to part of the lighting rig, rendering him unable to stand. Paul Heyman was supposed to free the champion from his predicament before the referee could finish his count, but this didn't happen. Instead, the ref had to stop whilst the wise man fumbled about with the keys, making everyone involved look like a total chump. The worst part was that the match up to this point had been excellent, one of the best these two would ever have against one another. Number 7, Kurt Angle vs The Rock at No Way Out 2001. Kurt Angle's world title defense against The Rock at No Way Out 2001 was slightly hampered by the fact that everyone and their mum knew that Rocky was walking out with the gold. There was no way WWE were going to book Royal Rumble winner Steve Austin against Angle at WrestleMania X7 when the opportunity to do a rematch with The Rock was on the cards. Sure enough, this is precisely how it went down, although it took a little longer to get there than it should have. Rock threw Angle into an exposed turnbuckle and then drilled him with a rock bottom, which was supposed to be the match's ending sequence. Instead, Earl Hebner counted 1, then 2, and then randomly stopped. Angle didn't kick out, Hebner just mucked it up. A visibly annoyed Great One, who had just put on a sensational main event with the Olympic hero, then begrudgingly picked his opponent up, hit him with another finisher, and finally scored the win. Did Earl think that Angle was supposed to kick out but didn't? Was he pulling a rib? Was he thinking about how he helped screw Bret Hart at the 1997 Survivor Series? I guess we'll never know. Number 6, The Rock vs Triple H vs Kurt Angle at SummerSlam 2000. 6 months prior to No Way Out, Rock and Angle were involved in another world title match featuring a huge mistake, only this one took place right at the start. The main event of SummerSlam 2000 pitted champion The Rock against Kurt and Triple H, who were involved in their own bitter feud over the affections of Stephanie McMahon. This led to the two heels brawling before the bell and culminated in Trips delivering a pedigree to his rival through the announce desk. Unfortunately, the table broke prematurely, sending Angle crashing down to the floor and giving him a whopper of a concussion. Sexy Kurt was so out of it that he can't remember most of the match to this very day. Still, against all odds and medical advice, Angle gutted it out and completed his spots to perfection. I mean, this guy won the Olympics with a broken freaking neck. You think a measly concussion was going to stop him? This storyline was already pretty damn melodramatic, so it's actually quite fitting that something as shocking as this should go down. Number 5, Kurt Angle vs Shane McMahon at King of the Ring 2001. Bloody hell, Kurt, what is it with you in these matches? Did somebody put a curse on you or something? The Wrestling Machine more than lived up to that nickname at King of the Ring 2001, as he competed in not 1, not 2, not 4, but 3 matches on the same night. After his tournament semi-final and final matches, Angle took on Shane McMahon in a street fight that is remembered today as the bout that nearly killed the boss's son. A planned spot was for Angle to deliver a belly-to-belly suplex on Shane through a pane of glass. Unbeknownst to the competitors, the gimmicked glass hadn't been installed, and what had been put there was, unfortunately, McMahon-proof. The poor lad got chucked into the glass, bounced straight off it, and landed right on the top of his head. As if that wasn't bad enough, the two maniacs then tried the spot again, with the same result. Stop! He's already dead. These botches actually make the match more compelling, transforming a worked hardcore brawl into a genuine fight for survival. It's an awe-inspiring watch, but just make sure you view it on an empty stomach. Number 4, the Men's Royal Rumble match at Royal Rumble 2018. We could have talked about the ending to the 2005 Rumble here, but that story's been worn out more than Vince McMahon's quads. Also, it was a so-so Rumble, whereas this one is a true modern classic. On the night of the first ever Women's Rumble, the menfolk really upped their game, putting on one of the best examples the format had seen in years. The final 6 men involved represented 2 different eras of the company: John Cena, Randy Orton and Rey Mysterio from the past, Roman Reigns, Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura from the future. Actually, they were from the present, but they represented the future. They didn't time travel, as far as I'm aware. At one point during this final stretch, Cena and Reigns stood facing each other in the ring, expecting to get jumped by Nakamura and Balor. However, for whatever reason, the 2 former NXT champions totally forgot their prompt. Cue Big Match John using his Big Match voice to loudly call for Shinsuke to perform the spot. The icon made no effort to hide his frustrations until, eventually, Finn and Shin got the hint. You might not be able to see Cena, but you could certainly hear him. Number 3, the Elimination Chamber match at Survivor Series 2002. At Survivor Series 2002, WWE introduced the world to its latest wacky invention, the Elimination Chamber. Drawn up by Eric Bischoff in his shed, this barbaric structure was wheeled out to test Triple H as the game defended his World Heavyweight Championship against Booker T, Kane, Rob Van Dam, Chris Jericho, and eventual winner Shawn Michaels. One of the spots designed to showcase this new plaything was RVD hitting a 5-star frog splash off the top of one of the pods onto a prone Triple H. A nice idea in principle, but in practice it damn near killed the future COO of the company. Van Dam caught Hunter in the throat with his knee on the way down, crushing his larynx and causing him to writhe around in legitimate pain. As he was supposed to last until the end of the match and be pinned by HBK, Triple H had to gut out the remainder of the bout with a flattened larynx. Say what you will about Triple H's supposed politicking and questionable booking decisions, but between this and his 2 in-ring quad tears, I think he might actually be invincible. Number 2, Kurt Angle vs Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 19. If you look up the wrestling term botch on Wikipedia, the first picture you will see is a human chunk of beef flying through the air, trying and failing to achieve a full rotation. That chunk of beef is Brock Lesnar. Lesnar was set to face off against all-time rival Kurt Angle, there he is again, in the main event of WrestleMania 19, and WWE officials wanted to add some special sauce to this meaty wrestling sandwich. That sauce came in the form of a shooting star press, a move the Behemoth had famously pulled off numerous times prior to his main roster call-up. It might have worked in the Kentucky Armory, but the next big thing didn't have as much luck on the grandest stage of them all. As Brock leapt off the top rope towards Angle, he slipped and landed face first on the mat, just short of his intended target. Had his neck not been as thick as a truck tire, there is a very real chance that the beast might have been paralysed or worse. The upshot was he suffered a nasty concussion and never climbed to the top rope again. Number 1, The Undertaker vs Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25. If you were playing Wrestling Family Fortunes, or Wrestling Family Feud for our American viewers, and Les Dennis or Steve Harvey asked you to name the greatest WWE match ever, you would do well to reply with this one. HBK's first WrestleMania clash with The Undertaker earned every single one of its 30 minutes, as both legends showcased what had brought them to the dance. Expertly paced, brilliantly executed, and deeply emotional, this established both men's legacies and saved Mania 25 from being a bit of a washout of a show. But had things gone slightly differently, it could have ended in tears. As Taker went to hit Michaels with a dive to the outside, the showstopper pulled a cameraman in front of him at the very last second. This was actually wrestler Sim Snuka, aka Deuce, in disguise. Unfortunately, he failed to catch the Phenom, who lawn-darted himself into the center of the earth instead. How he wasn't more seriously injured, I will never know. As for Snuka, well, I would say lasting another 2 months was good going, since he almost helped the dead man become a dead man.